friends and family! Welcome back to the Foundations of Horror, or whatever I'm calling this. I'm Paper, and today we're going to talk about zombie aesthetics. So really quickly, three things. One, if I sound terrible, it's because I'm a little sick. 2, I'm using aesthetic as not just how a zombie looks, but how they move and the context they have in the plot and their origin or whatever the hell, or do they count as zombies at all? Which means, what purpose do we use zombies for in stories or games or whatever? And 3, lesson learned that if you're gonna mention racial undertones of a movie, maybe actually watch the movie, you fucking space case. So, White Zombie has black characters, specifically black zombies. Making the Bokor white plays into the original anxiety of enslavement, particularly whites enslaving blacks, with the added layer of using their own culture and religion and turning it against them. Neat! Ish. Still focuses on white people, though. Boo. Focuses on a woman being enslaved by men, with sexist undertones there, with marriage equating a kind of slavery. Yay! Still a white woman? Slaves then die. Let's give it a D+ for effort and move on. Now, looping back around, what do I mean when I say, what purpose do zombies in stories serve? Well, okay, fine. So in modern pop culture stories, what purpose do zombies serve? Well, there's death, consumerism, disease, environmental concerns, and a whole host of other reasons. Primarily, though, their purpose is to isolate our protagonists, like most horror does. But in this one, the isolation of zombies is one where even though there are other people, you can't trust them because they could turn into a zombie without warning and turn on you. At the same time, you're not likely to survive on your own. You're constantly battling the hordes of the undead who want to turn you into one of them or consume you, or other humans who will put their survival above you, which, okay, can be a pretty stark context for stories. So let's put up some criteria for what we're going to count as zombies. 1. This is to say they are humans, or take humans as hosts, and xenomorphs don't count. Using humans as hosts means the human body has to be the one moving around and doing stuff, or the foundation of the creature, not the womb. We'll get to that another day. 2. For this to work, there needs to be a threat of the whatever of zombieism spreading. There has to be the fear that the people around you will turn into zombies, or that you will turn into one yourself. 3. I don't mean consumerism. I mean the zombies have to be an active force of mindless destruction. They don't have their own free will or consciousness, or if they do, they have a hard time fighting against the zombiness. So that should about cover it. Good? Awesome. So that leaves a lot of open ground to work things in. So let's get my shame over with. There is not a heck of a lot to say about this one. With our criteria, they may not even necessarily count, which is weird because they're the original origin, so we're adding them. But only briefly because, well, here's the first look we get of the zombies. They're just people. Brain dead and shuffling people. They really only match criteria 1 and 3, wherein their will is that of the Bokors. They don't really consume, but here they are. Our NLD zombies are much more corpse-like. They shamble slowly but unerringly, and they do look fairly dead. Wounds, sunken eyes, and corpse makeup. These zombies are the origin of our pop culture zombies, so unsurprisingly, they hit all our points. Humans based on the literal dead rising from their graves. They can spread their zombies to others, and they seek only to devour flesh and consume. Now, these corpse zombies are pretty much standard for a while, and with those two movies out of the way, fuck chronology, we're gonna go at random. No, remember category 3? Okay, yes, but they don't fit our aesthetic of the zombies we're talking about, and I don't want this video to go on forever. So we're not counting The Last Man on Earth or I Am Legend, because in those, at least in the point we get to in the story, they're not mindless zombies and they're isolating one dude. Those two movies are, spoiler alerts, more boogeyman stories than zombie stories. Right, so this is one of the few movies I've seen that actually goes back to the roots of the zombie origins, where zombies are enslaved peoples rather than literal undead. They are made and controlled by a Bokor, literally, who steals their souls and controls their bodies. Also literally. He actually uses the zombification drug and goes through the whole Haitian voodoo ritual. It is starring a white guy. At least the Makor is black. It is set with, actual black people as the majority in the film, so... He tries to sacrifice someone to Baron Samedi, though, which, my understanding was Loa generally don't want you to do that. Like, cigars and whiskey? Yes. Blood sacrifice of animals? Also yes. Blood sacrifice of humans? Not so much. But whatever. It was inspired by a book that was meant to be an academic journey through Haitian voodoo, written by a white guy in 1985. So that's just... Yep. Moving on. Again, these don't really meet the criteria consume, but it's, origins. I'm gonna mention it. That's not the worst movie I've ever seen. Okay, yeah. Oh, Jesus. Okay, yeah, fine. So, Slither is... Okay, it's sort of like a body horror comedy. It's weird as shit, but it has Nathan Fillion. And, that guy from The Walking Dead. So it does sort of count. The zombies are created by an alien infection, which hosts in the main character Grant, and uses him to spawn more slugs, which infect more people. So human hosts spread the disease and... Well, the infected puppets are mindless. Grant is, doing his own thing. Yep. So Pontypool is an interesting zombie aesthetic. I mean, origin-wise. The idea is that the disease of zombie is spread through words. It's a little confusing and hard to explain, especially without giving the game away, but I do think it's interesting. Is it realistic? No. Fuck no. Does it do anything super visually interesting with the zombies? Also, no. A woman chews her lips off, so rock on. There's no dead rising from the graves, but they fill the same void. Human-bodied, they spread the disease by spreading it through specific words, and they do have a basic desire that mimics viruses. The desire is to spread the virus to someone else, to a different host, and then die. I think it's pretty neat. Speaking of not the dead, though, I don't think they could actually transmit the military weapon since it seemed passed through water. But due to a long incubation cycle, it could take a while for people to show symptoms, so I'm going to count it. And this is the first of our list or might be the only of our list. Anyway, it's the first of our list where we get the excuse of biological warfare! Woohoo! So, yeah, quick lessons, kids. Turning people into zombies helps nothing. At no point is it a good idea. I don't care if you're trying to destabilize a foreign nation or whatever the fuck the reason is. No, it's a shitty idea, and it will always, always, always backfire. Do not do it! So, here a plane carrying a biological weapon crashes near a small town and infects their water supply. The zombie virus manifests as uncontrollable bloodthirsty insanity. Hence the crazies. The people infected still seem normal-ish for a while at first. And then kind of into it, too. They can still talk. They have their memories, have the ability to think critically. They just uncontrollably desire to murder everything and everyone. Almost. They seem able to maintain their relationships from before being infected. Helps with the person they knew was infected as well. Do they look different? Well, that happens to them. Considering this is a biological weapon and it has an incubation cycle, I'm going to say it's a virus thing, and that's how they look as sick. That's good enough. I mean, it's neat. What the fuck are these movies? Okay. So I'll be honest, I have not even the slightest fucking idea what the hell is going on in these. I watched one of them all the way through, and I came out the other end with no idea what the fuck was going on. There was the desert, and some people, and a school bus, and flying zombies, and I think Las Vegas, and Mila Jovovich was being the most stereotypical action hero woman I've ever seen in my life. It was like Underworld Selena levels of bad. What do they actually have to do with the games? I don't know. Whatever. So what about their zombies? Well, they're definitely interesting. They're very outlandish and twisted. I think there's a lot of neat special effects and makeup work being done with them to stretch their source material and to make them look so monstrous while still holding them to sort of a corpse standard. Usually. Sometimes. Sort of. But while the Resident Evil zombies are more monstrous and terrifying in that regard, I think that loses them zombie points in a way. They're so monstrous and so other that they don't really look human anymore. I guess some of them do, but there's not as much humanity left to cause the psychological aspect where you struggle with having to value your life over another human's. It's a lot easier to kill them en masse because their monstrousness dilutes the human stuff. In the Crazies or Pontypool, there was still a trap of trying to reason with people or a hesitation to killing them or shutting them out. There was still the effort of reconciling this was a person, this is no longer a person, and I am in danger. I don't really get that from Resident Evil, the movies. I don't think you could replace the zombies with anything not zombie, though. Like straight demons or, I don't know, carnivorous bees. There's still the fear of becoming one of them rather than just being consumed or impregnated. Right, that. So it's not exactly zombies, but it's not zombies either. It's what I said. It's action horror rather than psychological horror. Like Aliens versus Alien, respectively. Speaking of action horror versus psychological horror, let's look at a zombie franchise I actually understand, partially because it's mostly straightforward. So 28 Days Later is the first zombie film I remember seeing. It was a while ago when I was a wee lass, and it terrified the piss out of me. It's part of why it took me so long to like zombie stuff, even though I do really like it. 28 Days is a psychological to its action successor. There's not as much action, and it's broken up by long bouts of non-action and character development. The narrow focus of characters and strong characterization means there's a lot of weight when something happens, and this being zombie apocalypse, we know they're always in constant danger. Fuck, right, shit, sorry. Okay, so the zombies. Well, these are fairly traditional zombies-ish. They're dead and infected living, hard to kill, come from a virus transmittable through bite, etc., etc. They're bloodier, though. They have the eye thing going on, and they run. That might not seem very important, but shambling was iconic of zombies for a long while, and the Walking of the Dead does play on something very uncanny valley. Standing at the end of a street, seeing a tall, swaying figure in the distance making low, groaning noises. They catch sight of you, turn towards you, and begin to move towards you slowly, shuffling, dragging their feet a little, but not stopping. They don't speed up, but they don't stop. Your brain fights itself, rational brain dismissing your fear as silly, while your instincts tell you to run, and you lock up. By the time they get close enough and you can see the subtle wrongness of their appearance, the sunken eyes, the glazed dead look, the waxy discolored flesh, you haven't noticed the other one walking up right behind you. But running zombies? Once they catch sight of you, they hurtle towards you, full tilt, hissing and snarling and screaming. And yeah, that's fucking terrifying. But having a tiger chase you is also fucking terrifying, and it's right about the same kind of horror. Like with the Resident Evil zombies, the reconciliation trap is diluted under lizard brain seizing hold of the reins and screaming, "Run, bitch! Flee for your life!" And rational brain going, "Oh damn, you're right." 28 Days circumvented that by making us care about the characters and have us watch when the guilt catches up to them. They know what they did in the heat of the moment was the right choice for survival, but there's still pain there and there's still conflict. 28 Weeks is sort of my guilty pleasure, but it doesn't work around this nearly as well. You can reach for our heartstrings by having the protagonist's kids all you like, but that doesn't immediately work the way you seem to think it does. Now, on to the religious part of our program. Yes, and I'm talking about zombie angels. Look, bear with me for a moment. So, they're human-based, that's category 1. No, but there is still the anxiety of humans being possessed by angels and taken over. The first angel we see is a little old lady sitting in the diner, who then flips out and tries to eat them. Consume! There's the fear of never knowing if you can trust anyone you meet because they might be an angel. This continues into the series that followed, Dominion, which looked more at the idea of surviving in a zombie apocalypse. They even called the angel-possessed humans 8-balls and tried to cure them and had to fear being possessed by lesser angels. Look, I'm counting them, okay? So these zombies had the eye thing again, hence the term 8-balls. In Season 2, more of the reconciliation problem came about as the protagonists started trying to cure the angels and save the human bodies they had possessed. The 8-balls even seemed to retain some of their human memories. And the humans were afraid of possession, and being subsumed under the angel, enslaved by them. Moving on! So, The idea behind the Zombies of Wreck is that demonic possession comes from a biological source, and it eventually becomes a transmittable virus. It doesn't get used as well as you might think. It gets used a little bit, but more in the sequel when a pastor guy shows up, but the zombies are functionally and aesthetically similar to 28 whatever later, running and screaming and infected and bloody. They also have the eye thing going on. Well, the religious angle is different, so far as mainstream and well-done zombies go. I also like the claustrophobia of the movie, where it's all in this one apartment building with a long, winding staircase up the center. There's a great shot where the person with the camera looks down with the light on, and all these zombies look up at him, and yeah, it's great. It's also... so I'm counting it because I just think it's a well-done movie. It also ties around neatly. Like, remember how I mentioned zombies and Haitian voodoo get blown out of proportion similar to how possession in Roman Catholicism gets blown out of proportion? Well, here's zombies and possession in one movie. Wow, look at the time! That's all for now, my darlings. Thank you all so much for joining me with this video. I'm trying to do new things with editing. Let me know how they're working out. Next time I should have a video of Night in the Woods coming out, so keep an eye out for that. If not, well, please be kind. I do have a 40-hour-a-week job that takes priority. I love you, my darlings, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, have a wonderful day.